27, New Orleans leading Dallas at the half. Ken Trahan joined now by Archie Manning, that long-lost voice of Saints years past. And Archie knew when to acquiesce the throne here. Actually, it's great to see you at the game, Archie. Merry Christmas to you and yours.
Thank you very much, Kenny. I'm glad to be with you, and Merry Christmas to you.
You've been chasing your son around. It's been a glorious year to do that, obviously. Talking about your eldest son, Peyton, and what the Colts have accomplished has been special, and I know that there's a long way to go for what they can accomplish.
Well, it's been a lot of fun, Kenny. Of course, they won 3 games last year, and what a lot of people say is the toughest division in football. And, on paper, they start the year. People thought they'd be improved, but still, they was going to be the 5th best team in that division. So I think it really is I guess you call it being on a roll, being in the zone, or what have you. But to win 10 straight games in the AFC or in that division and wrap up their division title with 2 games to go, it's really been a lot of fun to watch.
Many former Saints contacts there, of course. Pagano comes to mind along with Arians, but the most prominent, Jim Mora, also Vic Fangio, and Tom Moore, all doing excellent jobs.
Well, Jim Mora, I frankly didn't think Jim thought he would get a coaching job again. He applied for 2 jobs his first year out and didn't get one, and then ironically didn't even apply for the Indianapolis job. But Bill Poling called him and put his staff together. And of course, Vic Fangio was still in Carolina, but he hired Tom Moore as his coordinator, and what a great job he's done on offense. And then, of course, I think Jim had a tough job last year when Vic became available. He fired Rusty Tillman, who he'd hired the first year. He wanted Vic with his defense, and the defense was awful last year, but they added a few people. Bill Poling's done a nice job putting their club together, and of course, Vic's an outstanding coach.
You still follow the Saints, and you've been to a few games and watched them play this year. I know it's been painful for you, as it has been for most of us.
Well, it has been. We were in training camp. We did the preseason games, and we all just had such positive thoughts and thought it was going to be a really good season with getting Ricky Williams and trying to solidify some things, get the defense back like it played 2 years ago. But just as the season started with some, very competitive team and in ball games, couldn't win them in the 4th quarter, and then it seemed to all fall apart. A lot of injuries throughout, and then of course, Kenny, you've been around a long time. I've been around a long time. You know what happens late in the season when you're not winning games. Yep. It's extremely tough on everyone, and it truly has been a disappointing year, and it's really it's no fun. It's the worst side of football when other teams are playing for something and you're just kind of playing for pride.
Your assessment of Jake Delhomme's first half performance?
Well, I love Jake, and anybody does that knows the young man, and we've been around him. I've known him a long time. He worked our football camp in the summer, and I was glad to see him get the opportunity. I tell you what, he was, as you know, was an outstanding college quarterback. And I think he keeps getting better. Found fortunate his first ball gets tipped, gets picked off, but he's a tough kid. He hung in there. He made a good play down on the goal line, got him in the end zone. I think the fact that he moves around well is good. We're not really executing extremely well on offense, and they're shutting Ricky down pretty good. But Jake can make plays, so let's hope they can hold on to this. The Cowboys aren't playing good. They seem kind of lackadaisical. As you said before, it's kind of a typical NFC team this year, and so I think the Saints have a real shot here.
And finally, I mentioned eldest son. That would be Cooper, and you and Coop have had a great radio show all season long. I know you've enjoyed that, haven't you?
We've had a lot of fun. Cooper's a lot of fun, to be around. Sometimes I give him a few frowns during the course of the show, but we've sure had a lot of fun with it, and it's a wonderful time of year, Kenny. We're really been blessed in our family. I want to wish you a great holiday, and wish all your listeners just a wonderful holiday season.
Well, Archie, it's great to see you again. Listen, Merry Christmas to you. God bless you, and you're a treasure for this community. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks so much, Kenny.
Halftime, and
it's your Daily Rush live. Rush Limbaugh, 11 to 2 on WWL 870 AM.
Welcome back to the Louisiana Superdome. Jim Henderson along with Ken Trahan, who replaces the departed Stan Brock. Stan catching a flight back for Christmas Eve to Portland, Oregon, and Kenny Trahan,
who's always able to step in and do such an excellent job. I'm happy to have you here for a number of reasons. One, there's a lot more room in the booth now that Brock has left. And I might have a chance at another plate of gumbo, which would never have happened if he'd been here for the entire halftime and into the second half.
Well, I know you strategically awaited the point of him getting in his vehicle, his rental vehicle, that is paid for, I'm sure, by someone other than himself, to make that particular comment. Stan, if you are listening, have a safe trip home, my friend.
Yeah. Happy holiday. We'll look at the halftime summary, and one of the main factors in the Saints' favor, besides the scoreboard, which reflects a 10-7 lead, is time of possession. The Saints have had the football nearly twice as long as Dallas through the first 30 minutes of this game, 19:32 to 10:28. Emmitt Smith has carried 9 times for 42 yards. Ricky Williams has been busy, 18 carries for 47. That's an average of just 2.6. Troy Aikman threw the football 16 times, completing 9 for 103 yards. He was intercepted once. He was not sacked. Jake Delhomme threw it 14 times, completing 8 for 103 yards. He was sacked once, threw a touchdown, and an interception on his very first passing attempt of this game. Ricky Williams throwing the football for the first time in his career in the NFL on the halfback option, threw it incomplete. We mentioned Ebenezer Ecubon and how active he seemed to be in the first half. The halftime statistics reflect that. He is far and away the leading tackler for either team, officially credited with 7 tackles. And so the Saints will have to kick the football away to begin the second half. Doug Bryan has it teed up at the 30-yard line to our left. And back deep are Jeff Ogden and Jason Tucker standing at the goal line. The second half is underway. This will be Tucker from the 6 to the 10 to the 15 to the 20 to the 25. He's at the 30. He's at the 35 and dropped at the 38-yard line by Lawrence Dawsey after a 33-yard return. Tucker, for a moment in the first half, thought he had a touchdown on a kickoff return, but it was called back on a Dallas penalty. He's got a burst. First-year wide receiver out of TCU. And so the Cowboys will be moving right to left as the second half begins. On the short end of a 10-7 score, the Cowboys looking to win their last 2 games and assure themselves of a playoff berth coming into this game at 7-7. They've got some work to do here in the second half. They'll run it with Emmitt Smith collared in the backfield. No gain on the play. Wayne Martin in on the stop, along with rookie middle linebacker Phil Clark.
Mark Field's pursuing very well there as well. And Jim, we might very well have the 2 fastest linebackers in the NFL on this field today, with Coakley on one side and Mark Fields on the other.
Mark, who's been playing hurt much of the year, an alternate to the Pro Bowl, has selected this week 2nd and 9 from the 40-yard line. Aikman changing the play at the line of scrimmage. 5-step drop, looks to his left, throws over the middle. The catch is made by LaFleur. A short gain on the play of but 4 yards as David LaFleur makes his first reception of the day and the 29th of the season.
Former Tigers become more active in the passing game in recent weeks, but really hasn't been the receiver that they hoped he would be when they made him a first-round selection out of LSU. He has been a positive in the running game. He's a solid blocker.
It's like playing with a third tackle out there with LaFleur, who's 6'7" and 272. Deion Sanders checks in offensively as the Cowboys look at 3rd and 5 from their 44. Aikman in the shotgun. Saints rush 4. Aikman throws it over the middle to Sanders, and he stretches the football out for the first down, tackled by Weary. A 7-yard reception by Sanders, just his 3rd of the season playing offensively, and a first down for Dallas.
Fred Weary, by his very nature, gives a lot of cushion, Jim, and when you're playing against Deion Sanders, you'd better, although he was actually in press coverage man-to-man here, and a good job by Weary of securing the tackle because Sanders made a spin move and almost escaped.
Sanders wearing a sleeve on his wrist with which he consults when he's playing offensively to figure out what play the Cowboys are running. 1st and 10 from the 49 of New Orleans, just underway in the 3rd quarter. Emmitt Smith runs straight ahead into Phil Clark, and Phil Clark brings him down around the 47-yard line of New Orleans. Give him 3 on the carry. And you look at this Saint defense, which has played pretty well today, but they're perhaps indicative of a team that kind of out of things. Nobody helped Clark out on that tackle. As soon as he was the first to make contact with Emmitt Smith, all of his teammates just stood around and watched him eventually wrestle him down. They'll bring up 2nd and 7 from the New Orleans 46-yard line. Ismail in motion to the near side of the field. Handoff goes to Emmitt Smith. Emmitt Smith churns inside the 40-yard line. It'll be close to the first down after a 6-yard carry.
What comes to mind watching the Cowboys run the football is the fact that Larry Allen's playing hurt in this game. He came in with a sprained right knee, was questionable, tested it early. They decided to play him, and he's been very effective. In fact, watching him most of the day, handling Leroy Glover with relative ease, and that's not very easy to do. Larry Allen's an amazing player, Jim. Only the 3rd player in league history to be selected to the Pro Bowl at more than one offensive line position. He's done so at 3 different spots.
Emmitt Smith, who has 62 100-yard days, watches the fullback carry the ball for a rare opportunity here, down to around the 35-yard line. Smith had 110 yards last week against the Jets, and he'll probably be right up around that century mark before this one is all over. At 42 yards coming into the 3rd quarter, has 52 now, and we are about 4 minutes deep into quarter number 3. First down for the Cowboys, as they're moving with the opening kickoff of the 2nd half to the New Orleans 35-yard line, trailing 10-7. 3 wide receivers for Aikman. Play action to Smith under pressure. Aikman throws near sideline. Coming back and making the catch in front of Weary is Jason Tucker for the first down. A 14-yard gain as Aikman is dropped by an on-rushing Saint defender.
Regardless of who the coordinator has been for Dallas, their passing game is a timing passing game. Aikman will throw to spots and throw before receivers come out of their breaks. As a result, you'll either look very good or very bad at times when you make throws. He looks very good here, and give Emmitt Smith credit for a nice chip block on Keith Mitchell coming across the line of scrimmage. Otherwise, Aikman would have been set.
The first series of the 3rd quarter is oftentimes indicative of how an entire half will be played, and the Cowboys have come out and are methodically marching the football down to the New Orleans 21-yard line, 1st and 10. Here's Aikman looking to throw, fits it in there for Tucker. Tucker to the goal line. Tucker has scored. Jason Tucker on a 20-yard reception on the slant, and Dallas has taken the lead for the first time today. Jason Tucker's first touchdown reception as a Dallas Cowboy.
Just a skinny post here, Jim, and he's working against Weary, who, as I mentioned earlier, just gives too much cushion on a regular basis. No chance to close down on that timing route. And we've seen this act before, haven't we?
Yes, we have. Teams making adjustments at halftime. It remains to be seen if this will carry throughout the 2nd half, but the Cowboys have certainly come out with some new firepower offensively, and they have taken the lead on the 20-yard strike from Aikman to Tucker with 10:34 to play in the 3rd quarter. Our score now, Dallas 14 and New Orleans 10. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
As they march the length of the field in relatively easy fashion, 8 plays, 61 yards, 4:26 off the clock, set up by a good kickoff return. Tucker, a 20-yard pass from Aikman, who was 4 for 4 on the drive for 46 yards and a score. Adjustments made. Cowboys have their first lead of the day, Jim.
Amazing, really. That's Aikman's first touchdown that he's ever thrown in the Louisiana Superdome in 4 appearances. Here's the kickoff, fielded by Philyaw around the 7, back to the 10, 15 to the 20. He won't make it to the 25. And let's see what the Saints can do by way of response after the 16-yard return of the kickoff by Philyaw. Delhomme will come on facing a deficit for the first time as the Saints starter of record here today. 10:24 to play quarter number 3. Dallas has taken a 14-10 lead over the Saints. This is the New Orleans Saints. Now the Saints try to answer with their first possession of the 2nd half, having fallen behind the Cowboys by a score of 14-10. Ricky Williams, who's carried 18 times, 10 of them for a yard or less, gets the carry on the first play of the 2nd half, and that'll be right about in that vicinity. That's a 2-yard gain for Williams. Let's pause 10 seconds for stations to identify themselves on the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
Join us weeknights at 6:15 for the latest on the Saints here on News Talk and Sports Radio 870 AM.
Happy holidays to you and yours from all the folks here at Saints Radio. 2nd and 8 for New Orleans from their 25-yard line. Creaver in motion, wideouts left and right. Delhomme retreats, looks right, throws left. Completion to Kennison. Kennison has the first down up beyond the 35-yard line. One of the first times today they've looked in the vicinity of Deion Sanders.
Very smart on their part not to do so. Everyone ignores them, in particular with Kevin Smith out on the other side, and the Cowboys playing some suspect players on that side of the field. Delhomme has been effective, although he hasn't thrown very many pretty spirals here today. Very reminiscent of Bill Kilmer, the way the ball's floating out there. That one was a wobbler that was on the money, fortunately, and Eddie Kennison was open underneath.
And a 12-yard reception by Kennison gives the Saints a first down at the New Orleans 37. Cowboys creeping up to the line of scrimmage. Delhomme looks, throws near sideline. Poole took his eye off it. It's incomplete. Went right through his hands as Williams was coming up, and Poole took his eye off the football. That would have been a gain had he gotten no further, of about 7 yards.
Ball was thrown to the inside. You'd like that to the outside shoulder, preferably to allow him to get up the sideline or get out of bounds, but he did take his eye off of it, much like he did on the sideline route toward the end of the first half on the other side of the field. Normally good-handed, a little bit of a surprise where Keith is concerned.
Delhomme's 9 out of 16 for 116 yards. He has thrown a touchdown, and he has been intercepted. 2nd and 10 from the New Orleans 37. Cowboys show blitz again. Williams with the handoff, sweeping left. 4 Cowboys converge on him to drop him for a loss on the play. Well, you have to think that the Cowboys have sort of figured out the Saints' running scheme here, because it's been Williams and just about all of Williams, and although his first half numbers weren't horrible, they were skewed by a 17-yard carry late in that half.
And that's Coakley making the tackle. Ricky's trying to bounce things outside frequently. The problem is the Dallas defense runs as well as any in the NFL. That was Jimmy Johnson's philosophy in building that defense years ago, and it really hasn't changed regardless of whom the coach has been.
A bit undersized as a linebacking core, but great speed. 3rd and 10 from the 37-yard line. Saints go to 3 wide receivers. Delhomme sets Kennison in motion. Looks to his right, rolls to his right, hit from behind, ball has come free. Ball is free. This is going to be a recovery by Leon Lett of the fumble by Delhomme, and a first down for Dallas at the New Orleans 22-yard line.
That was Jerry Godfrey from the backside, hitting Jake, and as we have an opportunity to view the replay, it clearly looks like a fumble. His arm was not coming forward. Delhomme a couple of steps right, and he was indeed hit prior to releasing the football by Godfrey. It's a good call, and Lett recovers. Big loss on the sack and the turnover. The second of the game, of course, Delhomme had an interception earlier, and Dallas in great business to take over control of this football game here at the Saints 21.
Leon Lett with the fumble recovery, and Dallas has really enjoyed a great turnover differential. Coming up with a big one here at the New Orleans 21. Emmitt Smith runs right, cuts back against the grain. 2 flags are down. Smith is going to battle his way down to the 5-yard line, but 2 flags were thrown, holding against Dallas, as the penalty bugaboo rises up to bite the Cowboys again. This will be their 9th penalty.
Number 73, 10-yard penalty, repeat first down. Larry Allen hooked Keith Mitchell on the play and held on too long to allow Smith to get the corner. And a good call based upon my vantage point. Larry Allen's had a dominant type of game. He's a completely dominating run blocker, but from a pass perspective, not quite as effective, and he just held on a little bit too long in this particular circumstance. Smith doesn't have great speed. He's got good speed to the corner. He typically likes to cut it back. And that's exactly what he was trying to do in that situation.
Allen coming back after a sprained right knee that has kept him out of the lineup the last 5 games. So it's 1st and 20 now for the Cowboys from the New Orleans 31. 2 wideouts to the right. Play action. Aikman looks to his right, going to throw underneath to his big tight end LaFleur. He's stood up by a Saint tackler who got some help at the 31-yard line. That's only a 1-yard gain. LaFleur could never gather his momentum and turn it upfield.
Keith Mitchell stood him up nicely and stopped him from progressing any further. Keith Mitchell's been a nice find for the Saints. It certainly appears that they're okay at the outside linebacker position. Both Mike and Will. It's the inside linebacker position that needs attention. Aikman's thrown for 150 yards now. He has never exceeded 200 yards in any game he's played in the Superdome.
Second half, he's heated up somewhat. 5 out of 5. Looking at 2nd and 19 here from the New Orleans 30. Cowboys leading the Saints 14-10, looking to pad that lead after the turnover. Bjornsson in motion. Aikman play action. A lot of time. Going to throw it to the sideline. The catch is made down around the 15-yard line. Coming back for the football was Rocket Ismail. So the Saints Saints see Ismail bring in a 14-yard reception, and it'll bring up third down.
Again, the timing right. He throws the ball before the break is made. The ball's airborne. Ashley Ambrose has awesome coverage on the play. It's just a perfect throw by Aikman. When you time it out like that and you're that accurate, there's nothing you can do about it.
Saints facing the brothers Ismail in consecutive weeks. Remember what Kadri did to them last week up in Baltimore, 7 for 115 yards and a touchdown. 3rd and 5 from the 16-yard line. Aikman sends out 5 receivers. Going to throw into the end zone. Incomplete. It was intended for Chris Brazel, and he was actually pushing off a Saint defender looking to get to the football as he was well covered 5 yards deep in the end zone.
Saints had him bracketed. Weary had outside technique from that side on the corner, and he had safety help on the play inside. So Weary had him beat to the outside, and there's nothing to be done with that particular play, except for what Aikman did, essentially, and that is to throw it away. It's a big stand for the Saints, even if Dallas comes out of this with 3 from Eddie Murray here.
From 33 yards out, the Tulane Hall of Fame member will be kicking from the right hash mark. And Eddie Murray right down the middle. And the Cowboys add to their lead, taking advantage of the Delhomme fumble. They add 3 points to their total. It now totals 17, and Dallas leads New Orleans 17-10. 5:56 to play, quarter number 3. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network. Hilliard from the 11, returning to the 25, to the 30, dragged down at the 35-yard line is Dino Filio after a 25-yard return. So the Cowboys have scored 17 unanswered points, and with 5:45 to play in quarter number 3, we take a timeout. Dallas 17, New Orleans 10. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network. Cowboys hadn't yielded a touchdown in the first quarter this season until today when Delhomme hit Poole from 8 yards out, which at the time gave the Saints a 10-0 lead. It was their last score. They now trail 17-10. On 1st and 10 from the 35, Delhomme sets up the screen pass to Ricky Williams. Ricky Williams, stiff-arming a tackler, has the first down. Pushed out of bounds up around the 48-yard line of New Orleans. It was well disguised by Delhomme and well executed.
Oh, he waited. He looked downfield and went to his second option, maybe his third in that particular instance. And the thing about Ricky Williams that maybe is surprised more than any other, as Stan alluded to in the first half, is he catches the football better than advertised. His 3rd catch of the day. Let me tell you something. Darren Woodson is one of the fiercest hitters. He brings the wood. And Ricky Williams just stiff-armed him and tossed him away like swatting a fly to defeat that tackle.
Kyle Turley has had to come to the sideline. It looks like they're looking at his right knee or leg. 1st and 10 New Orleans from their 48, play action. Delhomme's going to throw it deep down the near sideline for Kennison. Kennison has it! Inside the 10, inside the 5, touchdown, New Orleans! Eddie Kennison with a 51-yard touchdown strike. And again, they found the matchup. DeJuan Hawthorne singled up on Eddie Kennison, and just as he did early in the game, Kennison went up and outfought Hawthorne for the football. This time it resulted in a touchdown.
Really not creating separation, but just positioning himself well, and that's a great throw by Jake Delhomme, leading Kennison perfectly, allowing him to see the ball on his sideline, haul it in, and Kennison makes the big play that the Saints obtained him for in this situation. Delhomme is playing quite well in his debut.
With the extra point by Bryan, the Saints will have tied the game. DeJuan Hawthorne, a rookie out of Northern Illinois, victimized by Eddie Kennison and the Saints, and with Bryan's extra point, we've got a new ball game in the Superdome with 5:10 to play in the 3rd quarter. It's Dallas 17 and New Orleans 17. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network. Yeah, you really would. He's gone to the right place with the football most of the time. A line drive kickoff by Bryan, fielded by Tucker at the 2, back to the 10, 15, 20. He's dangerous, 25, 30. He's at the 40. He makes Bryan bring him down with an ankle-high tackle at midfield. A 51-yard return by Jason Tucker.
Let's take a Beta Springs Water Saints sideline report with Kenny Wilkerson. Kenny?
Yeah, I just want to tell you about Kyle Turley. Looks like he's in a lot of pain down here. I wonder whether or not they're going to bring the cart to bring him into the locker room or not. Can't tell whether or not they're fooling with his hip or his lower back. Now, he's been having problems with his ankles and his knee throughout the game from early on from a couple of shots that he took. But right now, it looks like they're looking at his hip. And as I said, it looks like he's in an awful lot of pain as well. I'll send it back upstairs to you guys.
Darryl Terrell replaced him.
50-yard return by Tucker. Cowboys. 1st and 10, Emmitt Smith. Smith takes tacklers with him, and he looks to have the first down around the 37-yard line. Willie Clay on the stop. That's an 11-yard pickup as they go back to their bread and butter back. Emmitt Smith for the first down.
Running with Thomas in front of him there, but what Emmitt Smith has done is make a nice adjustment over the past 2 seasons. Without Darrell Johnston, he's learned to run out of the one-back set quite frequently, whereas previously he was always an I-back. This year he's done both very well, last year as well, and they line up with Thomas in the slot this particular time.
1st and 10, Dallas at the 37-yard line of New Orleans on the play act.
Down pretty good now. That's his first incompletion here in the second half. Pardon me.
Yeah, Leroy Glover continues to play hard. The Saints defense has been on the field so much this season, and he has very quietly become its leader, I would say, along the defensive line. 2nd and 10 from the 37-yard line of New Orleans. We're in a 17-17 game with 4:17 to play. 3rd quarter. Aikman is going to be hit in the backfield and dropped, delivering the football. A flag has been thrown. This could be intentional grounding as Aikman was being sacked. Keith Mitchell had him down around the knees, and the officials are conferring. No indication as yet. And we await the call by the officiating crew here. 25 sacks allowed by the Cowboys, fewest in the NFL coming into this game.
Number 22 was in the area of the pass. By rule, the quarterback may throw the ball away on a screen pass in the area of a receiver. Therefore, there is no foul on the play. Brings up 3rd down.
And down on the sideline, the Saints offensive line coach is pointing to the big screens and asking the officials to take a look at that, because that's what the fans were looking at, and screaming about the fact that it should have been intentional grounding.
The closest receiver to that football was actually the fullback, Robert Thomas, and he wasn't very close. Emmitt Smith was not even in a catchable position. He was on the ground.
So it's an incomplete pass, and it brings up 3rd and 10 at the New Orleans 37. And this place has really gotten loud. Aikman in the shotgun with 3 wide receivers and a back to either side. There's movement along the defensive front. Aikman's being chased and wrestled down and sacked. Keith Mitchell has him all the way back at the 48-yard line. Boy, it looked like Troy Wilson was offside, but no flag.
That's the second time in the game he's anticipated the snap count. I believe there is a flag. We just didn't see it all the way on the far side of the field. And the Cowboys are, of course, pointing in the Saints' direction. Wilson did the same thing toward the end of the first half, Jim, and many thought that he was offside on that particular occasion. As we watched it again from our perspective, it certainly appeared that he was in the neutral zone, and I think that's an appropriate call.
But I think they're going to call the Saints for illegal use of hands.
Illegal contact, defense, number 33. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
I don't believe Wilmont Perry plays defense. I don't think so.
What a strange call in this circumstance. Again, we watch, and Wilson appeared to be in the neutral zone prior to the snap of the football. And he got away with it. And Keith Mitchell, again, with his speed, able to collect a sack. But the illegal contact or illegal use of the hands was obviously downfield. We can only assume they're talking about Ambrose, who's 43, although we don't know that.
I would assume that's the case. So it looked for a moment like the Saints got away with one, as Wilson was clearly in the neutral zone at the time that ball was snapped. Then they sacked Aikman, but it's going to be a penalty against the Saints. It'll set up 1st and 10 at the 32. Pitch it to Smith, running right, cutting it back into a pile of Saint defenders down to about the 27-yard line, given 4 on the carry.
Troy Wilson in on the stop, getting significant playing time here today as they rotate defensive linemen. And that's Smith's strength when he gets going downhill. Running behind the block of Thomas that time have got out in front is a nice-looking running play for the Cowboys. Sealed off the backside and created a little cavity between the tackle and in-slot defensively.
Smith, the 3rd rusher overall in NFL history, trailing Walter Payton, the leader, by about 2,000 yards coming into this season. He'll pick up some more here, down to around the 24-yard line. A pickup of 4. And it'll bring up 3rd and short. Phil Clark on the stop for New Orleans.
He was the only man home in that situation, Jim. As Smith cut it backside that time was walled off. And had Clark not been able to trip him up, Smith might have gone the distance. In fact, he would have.
Aikman with his hands over his ear holes in deference to this loud crowd, listening to the call sideline where Buddy Geist is the quarterback coach of this team, the former Tulane assistant. And Aikman's going to head to the sidelines as there's a timeout. Timeout taken by Dallas. And with that, the Saints defense has only had one 100-yard game in his career against New Orleans. 3rd and 2 for the Cowboys from the New Orleans 24. Ismail split out wide to the left. Baxton and Emmett Smith gets the carry and the first down, taking tacklers with him and running backwards as he carries the football down to the 16-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10 for Dallas after an 8-yard pickup by Smith.
Flozell Adams gets out in front of this play, and he's running right with Emmett Smith blocking at the same time. What a pancake. He scrapes off a one, finds somebody else, and just keeps driving to the end of the play. Nice job of blocking the interior line. Mark Stepnowski's not big, but he's a very good technician who gets off the ball in good shape, and he created the initial hold.
1st and 10, Dallas at the New Orleans 16. The fullback, Thomas, with the ball down to the 12-yard line. Troy Wilson had him by the ankles. A 4-yard pickup for Robert Thomas. Chan Gailey, who was 10-6 last year in his first year with the Cowboys, for whom there are very high standards in Dallas and around the country. You're hearing rumbles about his job perhaps being in jeopardy, and yet his team very much in the playoff hunt. 7-7 coming into this game, and they've suffered some huge injuries offensively. 2nd and 6 from the 12-yard line of New Orleans. Ismail in motion, 2 tight ends, Baxton and Emmett Smith running straight ahead. Emmett Smith down to around the 7-yard line. He'll be close to the first down. We'll see where they note his forward progress as they unpile. And it's going to bring up 3rd and a short 2. The football resting just outside the 7-yard line of New Orleans. Cowboys are 4 out of 9 in 3rd down conversion attempts. We have a 17-17 game as we head into the final minute of the 3rd quarter. 2 tight ends, Baxton and Emmett Smith slips a tackle. Emmett Smith down to around the 3-yard line, has the first down. It'll bring up 1st and goal for the Cowboys after a 5-yard gain. As the Cowboys shaken up, and that's left tackle Flozell Adams.
Well, again, the quick count, and I've noticed now, this is the 3rd time on a 3rd down conversion down that the Cowboys have gone to the quick count. Adams got rolled up on from the backside. You see that all the time by Fields, who was making the tackle, and you hope it's nothing serious. But again, that's the 3rd time they've gone on the quick snap count before the defense could truly get set. So there's a tendency here that Dallas has gone to, and it's been successful for them thus far. This is more like Cowboys football, Jim. They possess the ball throughout the course of this quarter. The Saints scored very quickly, and we don't have the stat yet, but I would assume Dallas has had the ball for at least 10 minutes of this 3rd quarter, and perhaps more.
Well, not only was Flozell Adams hurt down around the pile, so too was Ashley Ambrose. He had his ankle kicked, and Ambrose limps to the sideline in pain, and he's sitting on the Saints bench. So we'll check out this Saints secondary for you. It includes Sammy Knight, Willie Clay. Now the Saints bring in a new defensive lineman in Robert Newkirk, part of the defensive front, down deep in their own territory. 1st and goal for the Cowboys from the New Orleans 3.
And they've had the ball for 11 minutes of this 3rd quarter. Saints are going to their jumbo defensive package, their goal line package. Hate to use that word jumbo, by the way. As a result, they don't have a normal complement of secondary mates. Ashley Ambrose is, of course, Exhibit A as to what the Saints must do in the offseason, retain him, and that's going to be a difficult task.
You can say jumbo as long as it's the defense that's out there. 1st and goal from the 3. Play action, Aikman looking back to his left, throwing, and that's going to be a touchdown to LaFleur. David LaFleur, the big target out of LSU, with a 3-yard touchdown catch, his 7th of the season. And that was Troy Aikman's 156th career touchdown pass that makes him the all-time leader in Cowboy history. He's been tied with Danny White at 155.
LaFleur lined up on the left side, got a bump from Brady Smith, and just swam across wide open on the play. No problem. And again, the quick snap count. Saints didn't appear to be ready defensively or set whatsoever. That's an easy one for LaFleur, and the Cowboys are operating on all cylinders here.
And unlike the first half, when the Saints were able to control the football and keep Dallas off the field, the Cowboys now dominating the third quarter in time of possession and using that huge offensive line to wear down a smallish defensive front for the Saints. Eddie Murray adds the extra point, and the Cowboys retake the lead, answering the touchdown of Delhomme to Kennison with a march of their own, and going on top by a score of 24-17.
Injured, and there's a lot of conjecture as to what the ultimate result will be of that.
Here's the kickoff by Goen, taken in by Philyaw at the 5, back to the 10-15, running to the far sideline. He won't make it to the 20. Excellent coverage downfield, and the tackle made by the Cowboys. Juwan Hawthorne victimized on the Eddie Kennison touchdown pass of a few minutes ago. And so Jake Delhomme, trying to lead his team back from a deficit again. He was able to do it earlier with a touchdown pass that tied it at 17. Now the Saints find themselves trailing 24-17 with 6 seconds remaining in the third quarter. But Delhomme impressive in his rookie debut. 2 wide receivers to the left and Poole to the right. Ricky Williams, who's gone all the way at running back behind Delhomme. Delhomme drops, looks, throws short. Catch made by Wilcox, upended by Sanders after a 5-yard reception on the final play of the third quarter. 15 minutes remaining in regulation of a very competitive football game. The Dallas Cowboys on top of the New Orleans Saints by a score of 24-17. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
Saints tradition. Turn down the sound on your TV and turn up Saints Radio Sunday, January 2nd at noon when the Saints take on the Carolina Panthers. Turn down the sound on your TV and turn up the home team, Saints Radio. Troy Aikman, 16 of 25, 167 yards, 2 scores, and an interception. Emmitt Smith, 18 carries, 88 yards, and a touchdown.
Holiday treat, Mousy dressed up as Santa Claus and dancing after the third quarter down in the end zone to our left. The Poydras Street end zone. Here's Delhomme looking to throw the slant, does so to Poole. And Keith Poole running hard, still isn't down. Cowboys ripping at the football. Somebody blow a whistle. And they have. And the Saints have a first down after a 14-yard reception by Poole. The tackle made by Juwan Hawthorne. Hawthorne's been victimized a couple of times today by Kennison. He's a rookie, but he has 3 interceptions. Amazing as you look back in Cowboy history. Those 3 interceptions are the most by a Dallas rookie since 1981 when Everson Walls had 11 interceptions as a rookie free agent of the Dallas Cowboys that year. Michael Downs had 7 as well the same season. First and 10 from the 38-yard line of New Orleans. Delhomme changes the play at the line of scrimmage. He's got 3 receivers stacked to the near side and 1 to the far. Delhomme, 3-step drop, tries to fit it in, batted up in the air and incomplete.
Chad Hennings knocked that one down, Jim, not with his arms, not with his hands, but with his face mask, which is understandable considering the fact he's a very tall man.
6'6", 291, the 8th-year man out of Air Force. So it brings up 2nd and 10 from the New Orleans 38. 2 wide receivers to the left, 1 to the right. Delhomme, 5-step drop, steps up in the pocket, delivers the football. He's got Poole wide open. Poole's at the 25, he's at the 20, running away from Sanders to the middle of the field, inside the 15 to the 13-yard line, and Keith Poole victimizes Sanders for a 50-yard reception.
Keith Poole has the speed to get deep on anyone, but he got wide open here. Sanders in press coverage is typical. Poole swims to the outside, and Sanders kind of stopped. He was peeking back into the backfield. A sin that we see the Saints corners perform quite frequently, and Poole had to wait on the football, Jim. Otherwise, he would have scored easily on the play. Still a big play. Poole's really become the kind of player that the Saints hoped he would be this year.
First and 10, New Orleans at the Dallas 12-yard line. Cowboys lead 24-17, 13 minutes, fourth quarter. Bootleg. Delhomme running to his right, slips the tackle, stops, comes back, and now he's going to be taken down as he throws the ball away. He will be sacked by the linebacker, Darren Hambrick. There's a flag thrown on the play. And we'll see what this one's going to be. Delhomme is going to complain that he was outside of the tackles and should be able to throw the football away.
Well, he definitely was, Jim, and if that's the discussion, but that's a moot point. It's a personal foul on Hambrick. But what Hambrick did was he slammed Delhomme to the turf after Jake had thrown the ball out of bounds. And the the whistle must have blown at that particular instant. He slammed him down hard to the turf. So in the judgment of the officials, that was a personal foul, roughing the passer.
Quarterback's progress was stopped, and the whistle was blown, stopping him for a sack. After the quarterback was down, number 54 of the defense threw him to the ground. Unnecessary roughness. Defense, 54, 15-yard penalty, first down.
That's another damaging penalty against the Cowboys.
I think it's an excellent call. Jake's in the grass, whistle's already blowing, and then after he's released it, that's not the problem. Here's the problem. Hambrick held on and then threw him down. You can see Hockley had already signaled that the play was over with. Dallas had the ball for 11 minutes, 29 seconds of the third quarter. Total yardage is virtually dead even now. The Saints are at 271, Cowboys at 263. And this is an entertaining football game, isn't it?
It really is, and the Saints have it first and goal at the 10-yard line. Can't pick up a first down without scoring a touchdown. Nose of the football rests on the 10. First and goal, New Orleans. From the 10-yard line. Delhomme with 4 wide receivers wants to throw. Looks to the near side. Throws underneath down to the 5-yard line. The catch is made there by P.J. Franklin. His first reception in the NFL.
P.J. should ask for the football here, Jim. They're not doing it. He said he would when I interviewed him earlier this week. Such a likable kid out of A-Meat. Great to see him get that catch. Went down to get it. Saints really operating without a tight end. They don't have a healthy one. Wilcox slipped off again earlier. Then they go to 4 wideout package. Wouldn't be surprised to see them do it again and slip Ricky Williams inside.
Dawsey
out of the box.
And Kennison split out wide to the right. Hastings and Poole wide left. Handoff Williams hit immediately. He's down to about the 4-yard line, but he was just engulfed by the big cat, Leon Lett, number 78, had him up around the shoulder pads.
Was in fact what they tried to do with the 4 wideout set. The problem is Dallas has really won most of the battles up front on both sides of the ball. That Dallas defensive line is awfully good. Ecubon's a terror. Let's solid and back, of course. Hennings has been excellent here today. That's a tough front to block, and the Saints have had some problems doing so.
Third and goal from the 4-yard line. Same formation. 2 wideouts to the right, 2 to the left. Now Williams goes in motion. It's a vacant backfield behind Delhomme. Delhomme drops, quarterback draw. Delhomme to the goal line, and he will score. Jake Delhomme with a 4-yard scamper on the quarterback draw. He spikes the football in the end zone to the delight of everybody on their feet here in the Superdome today.
And the significance here, that's only the second rushing touchdown that the Cowboys have allowed in their last 7 games. I was just speaking of how good they are up front defensively, and I think that stat proves that out to a large degree. That's just a very smart call by the Saints offensively. Same call that really got Billy Joe Hobart hurt earlier this year, from which he's never recovered, but Delhomme is more nimble and quick.
That's the 6th rushing touchdown of a Saint quarterback this season. Bryan adds the extra point. And it's a new ball game once more. Now with 11:16 to play in quarter number 4, it's the Cowboys 24 and the Saints 24. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
8 plays, 81 yards to drive in 4 minutes. 4-yard run. Jake Delhomme ties the game at 24 with 11:16 to play.
Saints have 6 rushing touchdowns this season by their quarterbacks. Everybody else on the roster has but 2. Jake Delhomme with a 4-yard scamper on the quarterback draw. And the Saints have tied things up at 24, and it's fun to be in the Louisiana Superdome for perhaps only the 3rd time you can really say that about a Saints game this late in the game this season. This is the dangerous Tucker from the 4 on the kickoff, 15-20, running outside. Dawsey hems him in, looks for help, doesn't get much, and finally Tucker's forced out of bounds at the 39-yard line. A 35-yard return and a timeout on the field with 11:04 to play in the 4th quarter. Cowboys and the Saints in a dandy tied at 24. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
Delhomme, outstanding, 14 of 22, 249 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception. He's also run for a score.
Saints trying to provide a happy holiday memory for the 47,835 people who got tickets to this football game. 1st and 10, Dallas from the 39. Play action, Aikman. He's going to throw it deep, and it's going to be incomplete, and there's going to be a flag thrown. It was thrown where Chris Brazel was operating downfield against Fred Weary. It's going to be holding against New Orleans. Aikman went deep for Brazel, and it looked to be Weary who was victimized. And Hercules had a busy day.
Contact, defense, number 24, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Only 5 yards, fortunately. Weary is in press coverage, manned up on Brazel at the line of scrimmage, and he was holding him much of the way. Had safety help from Sammy Knight. That's why it's unfortunate he really didn't have to in that particular circumstance, working to the short side of the field.
It'll bring up first and 10 from the 44-yard line of Dallas. Ismail in motion. They hand it off straight ahead to Smith. Emmitt Smith with a big hole and a first down in the New Orleans 42. They faked the end around to Ismail, who last week ran a touchdown from that formation against the Jets. And the Saints were perhaps a bit mindful of that, and they took advantage of it, did the Cowboys, by running straight ahead for the first down in the New Orleans 42-yard line.
Smith's over 100 yards, 102 yards on the day. His first time ever over 100 in the Dome.
63 in his career. Aikman changing the play at the line of scrimmage. Drops back 5 steps, looks to his left, throws off his back foot, incomplete over the middle. The intended receiver, Robert Thomas, has a safety valve, and the ball was incomplete.
One area that the Cowboys are winning in very definitely in this game would be the kick game, Jim. The field position's been outstanding for Dallas, largely because of the kickoff returns. Of Tucker. He's exceeded 30 yards on 4 different returns. One of those, of course, was called back earlier, which was a touchdown, but the Cowboys are just getting outstanding field position and short fields to work with as a result.
He was averaging only 22.6 coming into this game, but you're right, he's been a weapon throughout the day. 2nd and 10 from the New Orleans 42. Aikman, play action. Looks, throws underneath to Smith. Emmitt Smith wrapped up in the ball, comes free. Picked up by Weary. There goes Fred Weary. Only Aikman to beat. Weary's going to go down the far sideline. Touchdown, New Orleans. A 58-yard return of the Smith fumble by Fred Weary, and the Saints are back in control for the moment at least in a jubilant Louisiana Superdome.
And Jim, it looked like a new St. Robert Newkirk who made the play. Stripped the ball from Emmitt Smith. Weary picked it up in flight as it bounced off of the artificial turf. And as you mentioned, with a full head of steam, he had only Troy Aikman to beat, and that's a mismatch. But it was Newkirk that created this play for the Saints. He makes his presence felt immediately. Zone blitz by the Saints. Newkirk drops into coverage, and he strips the football from Emmitt Smith. And again, on the dead run, off with a good hop, Weary down the sideline, outruns Aikman. So Newkirk may have earned himself a stay here for the Saints.
And here's Bryan's extra point, and the Saints are back on top by 7. 9:59 to play in the fourth quarter. The Saints are beating the Cowboys by a score of 31-24. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network. Something about the Dallas Cowboys in New Orleans seems to bring out the best in the New Orleans Saints. The Saints have scored 31 points here today. The last time they scored 30 or more, back on December 27th, 1998, in a 45-33 loss to the Bills in the final game of that season. A game they were out of through much of the entire contest. Let's see if the Saints have an answer for Tucker here. He's going to return this one from his 4 to the 10, to the 20, to the 25, and yes, they'll bring him down at the 32-yard line. Powell along with Cherry on the stop for New Orleans.
That's taking a beat of Springs. Warner Saints sideline report with Kenny Wilkerson.
Very loud Superdome right now, Kenny and Jim. Beats shopping in the malls right now for Christmas Eve. A lot of congratulations down here to the new guy, Newkirk. He's the one that had the big hit. And a lot of motion on these sidelines. We haven't seen this in a while. It's been back and forth all year. From time to time it pops up. They can't help but be emotional with the way things are going with this football team. And it seems as though the coaches are very happy with them. Mike Dickey even came over, gave Weary and Newkirk a big hug. Upstairs to you.
First and 10 from the 33. Emmitt Smith collared at the line of scrimmage. No gain on the play. Clark was in there, along with Fields, Keith Mitchell. Smith might have gotten a yard at best.
From a Saints perspective, that's the way you want to see them running, laterally, side to side. Where they really hurt the Saints is when they've gashed them inside.
They will officially give him 2 yards to the 35-yard line. It's second and a long 8 for Troy Aikman. And 3 wide receivers that he'll employ. Bjornsson in motion. Short drop. Aikman throws the quick slant to Tucker. First down. Weary on the tackle. Up at the 46-yard line. That's a pickup of 11 yards.
Not bad coverage by Weary on the play. Just a nice fit by Aikman to Tucker, who's certainly shown more today than he has as a Cowboy previously.
He's got 6 catches today for 96 yards. Half of the total he had through 14 games. But again, he's playing a lot more with the injury to Ernie Mills. First and 10 Cowboys at their 46. Emmitt Smith hit hard and dropped by Sammy Knight, who fills that hole and fills it well. Perhaps a gain of a little less than a yard.
Willie Whitehead got upfield quickly there and forced Smith to change his route right into Sammy Knight, who can lay the wood to just about anybody. Knight's done a nice job for the Saints tackling this year, being asked to do so and play a different role.
It'll be second and a long 9 from the Cowboy 46-yard line. Saints leading 31-24. We're in the final 8 minutes of regulation. Saints dropping off in coverage as Aikman can't find anybody. Running around in the backfield, he now finds Tucker, who drops the ball in the right flat, incomplete. Took his eye off it with Molden bearing down on him, along with Keith Mitchell, and the Saints are flying around down there defensively.
Nice deception by Xavier Uralian. They backed off at the last moment, confused Aikman. Didn't know where to look in that situation, and Whitehead and Martin sandwiched him as he delivered the football.
Cowboys are 5 out of 10 on third down conversions. Third and a long 9 from the 46-yard line of Dallas. Chris Warren checks in as Aikman goes to the shotgun and employs 4 wide receivers. Saints showing blitz, and it looks like Wilson this time has beaten the snap count by a considerable margin. And out comes the laundry. Well, he got away with it earlier in this half, but not this time. That was fairly blatant.
Encroachment, defense, number 92, 5-yard penalty. It's still second down. Correction, third down.
Officially the first time he's impeded the snap count. Unofficially the third by my count, going back to the first half. Fortunately for the Saints, it does not give Dallas a first down. It's 3rd and 5 still. Reminiscent of our old friend, please Ed, turn it off, of our old friend Derlin Moore, who used to anticipate snap counts.
Offsides number 74. I've heard that a few times. 3rd and 5 from the 49-yard line. But Aikman still in the shotgun with 4 wide receivers and Warren standing to his left. Aikman's motioning with his hands to his wide receivers to the left. One's Deion Sanders. But he looks to the right, throws it for Tucker, and it's incomplete. Corey Harris swatted the ball out of Tucker's grasp, and it's ruled incomplete, and the Cowboys will have to punt it away. Another Saint newcomer making his mark in this game.
Harris arriving simultaneously with the football, and it was timed out perfectly. No flag thrown on the play. Pass wasn't led perfectly in that situation, and Tucker didn't give him as much of a chance as you could have to allow him to make a play.
First punt of the second half for the Cowboys, in fact, for either team. Toby Goen stands back at his 35-yard line. Saints looking like they're going to come after him. Snap is back to him. Here come the Saints, and Goen hangs it high. Eddie Kennison gets away from it. It hits at the 6 and bounds through the end zone for the touchback. After a 49-yard Goen effort, the Saints will start 1st and 10 from their 20, leading the Cowboys by 7 with 7:36 to play in the 4th quarter. It's New Orleans 31 and Dallas 24. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network. Welcome back to the Louisiana Superdome, which has been jumping here this afternoon on Christmas Eve. The Saints leading by a score of 31-24. Ricky Williams gone all the way today as a running back for the Saints. It's been tough going for him. 21 carries, 50 yards, 15 of those carries for 2 yards or less. They could use him here. 1st and 10 from the 20. Play action. Delhomme wants to throw. Batted at the line of scrimmage and incomplete. That's the 3rd time today that the Cowboys have been able to get their hands on a Delhomme attempted pass. including the very first one of the day for Delhomme, which was tipped at the line of scrimmage and intercepted.
Well, as mentioned previously, when you're talking about Hennings and Lett, you've got some very tall individuals inside that once they get their mitts up, it's very difficult to get it over there. You've got to make sure you're able to block technique-wise correctly to allow Delhomme a path to throw.
2nd and 10 from the 20-yard line. 4 wide receivers for the Saints. Ricky Williams behind Delhomme. He drops straight back, steps up in the pocket, delivers the football, and it is caught up at the 42-yard line. A great effort. I believe that's Hastings, and it is Andre Hastings with his first catch of the day, and it's a 24-yard catch for a first down for New Orleans. Darren Woodson tackles.
Just running a deep out here, and the ball is thrown before Hastings makes his break. Ball's there just as he turns around, and he has to make an adjustment to the football, which is behind him. That's an outstanding catch by Hastings, one that you can only appreciate by being out there on the field under game circumstances. Outstanding catch.
1st and 10 New Orleans at the Saint 44, 6:53 to play 4th quarter. Ricky Williams straight ahead, just short of midfield, up around the 49-yard line. That's a gain of 6, keeps the Saints on schedule, and continues to keep this clock running. The Cowboys have 2 timeouts remaining, the Saints all 3. As Jake Delhomme, what a storybook beginning to hopefully a long and happy career in the NFL this would be for this guy. Couldn't make the team as the 3rd quarterback back in training camp. Persevered, brought back a couple of weeks ago when there were injuries. Hadn't been active until today. He's starting on national television, and he's had one heck of a day. Here's Delhomme throwing underneath. Ricky Williams drops the ball. Went through his hands. Coming up quickly was Darren Woodson on the coverage.
This is an offensive line plan without 2 components of great interest and great need for this team. Wally Williams, of course, has been down for quite some time, and Cal Turley has never returned after his injury previously. Darryl Terrell's done a commendable job in his place.
Jake Delhomme has thrown a pair of touchdowns, rushed for 1, has been intercepted on his first passing attempt of the day, and has lost a fumble. 3rd and 4 for New Orleans from the Saint 49. This would be a crucial 3rd down conversion if the Saints are able to pull it off. Play action under pressure. Delhomme throws it, and it's incomplete. Ball was just a little bit late for Hastings, and it was Williams, Charlie Williams, able to get a hand in there and knock it down. And so the Cowboys are going to get another chance with the dangerous Deion Sanders awaiting the punt by Barnhart. At the 15-yard line. Barnhart kicking away from him early in the game, goes up to get a high snap. This one he's going to hang down the middle of the field. Sanders runs away from it, hits at the 2 and bounds into the end zone. Lawrence Dawsey can't prevent that from happening. It's a 50-yard punt, a touchback, and the Cowboys will start at their 20 with 5:54 to play in the 4th quarter, and the Saints leading 31-24. And so the onus on the Saints defense. They've been equal to the task much of the time here today. The Cowboys have the ball with 5:54 to play, trailing by 7, 31-24. They start from their 20. Wideouts left and right, backs in an eye. Aikman drops straight back, well protected. Going to throw it out of the backfield to Emmitt Smith. Molden, along with Fields, converge on the tackle after a gain of 6 up to the New Orleans, or rather the Dallas 26-yard line.
And that's Alex Molden playing for Ashley Ambrose on that side of the field, Jim. We mentioned Ambrose going out earlier, limping off of the field. So Alex Molden now under fire on one side, Fred Weary on the other for the Saints, and those are vulnerable areas. They need safety help in some of these situations.
2nd and 4, Dallas. Line of scrimmage, the Cowboy 26. Backs off set behind Aikman. Hands it off to Smith, running over the left side with Clark bringing him down short of the 29-yard line, a gain of 3. It'll bring up 3rd and short.
I'm not sure if Phil Clark's a long-term answer at the inside linebacker spot for the Saints, but he certainly has played better than his predecessors at that spot. He brings what he has to the table and lays it on the line for you.
And that's got to be a pretty difficult chore for a rookie free agent recently activated. 3rd and 1 from the Dallas 29-yard line. Aikman hands it off to Smith. Emmitt Smith, first down, up to the 32-yard line. Keith Mitchell, along with Sammy Knight on the stop. And the Dallas drive will continue. Clock shows less than 4:30 to play. It's running. The Cowboys have 2 timeouts remaining, and they are looking at a 7-point deficit at the moment, 31-24, in what has been a back-and-forth second half.
Emmitt Smith out, Deion Sanders in offensively. Good news for the Saints. Dallas can't keep it on the ground for very long because of the clock scenario.
First and 10 from the Dallas 32. 4 wide receivers. Chris Warren checks in as a running back standing to the left of Aikman. He's in the shotgun. Aikman retreats to the 25, looks to his left, throws it to Sanders underneath. Sanders comes back for the football and falls down at the 25-yard line.
Bjornsson. Well, he's had a hamstring problem during the course of the season, Jim. That's plagued him. He's been on the sideline riding a bicycle much of the year when he's not playing, and that's what it appeared to be there watching the replay as he twisted back to catch that pass which was behind him.
Second and 7 from the Dallas 35 from the shotgun. Aikman looks right, can't find anybody. Throws over the middle. Bjornsson to the 41-yard line. It looks like he'll be short of the first down. Brady Smith along with Alex Molden. Keith Mitchell in the vicinity as well. A pickup of 6. It will be short of the first down, and it'll bring up third and a long 1.
Tough matchup for Brady being asked to drop into coverage there on the zone blitz against Bjornsson. Did a pretty nice job.
We have less than 3 minutes to play. Cowboys trailing by 7 with 2 timeouts remaining. Smith is the tailback. Play action. Aikman stops, throws down the middle. The catch is made by LaFleur inside the 40-yard line. Kelly comes flying over, but the big 6'7" target goes up and brings it in, a 22-yard reception, and the Cowboy drive continues.
LaFleur opening the seam, big target. Pass was a little bit behind him. He makes an excellent catch, but again, the tendency holds true. Conversion downs, quick snap. Dallas has done so the entire football game, and they've done so with great success. No pressure whatsoever on Aikman.
First and 10 Cowboys, Saint 37-yard line. Dallas trails 31-24. 2 wideouts to the right, 1 to the left for Aikman. With Smith behind him, play action. Aikman stops, pumps, looks, throws near sideline, and it's incomplete. Intended for Tucker. He had a couple of steps on Molden, but the ball was overthrown.
I believe that was zone coverage there, and Kelly was rotating over, so the Saints were in pretty good shape. It would have taken a perfect throw to make it fit.
As we have reached the 2-minute warning. 2 minutes left on what could be the Saints' 3rd victory of this season, and a game that would be awfully difficult for the Cowboys to swallow with playoff chances on the line. It's 31-24 New Orleans. 2 minutes remaining in regulation.
Troy Aikman is now 22 of 35, 215 yards, 2 touchdowns, and interception. His best game in the Superdome. Of course, he started his NFL career here in the Dome in 1988. Cowboys got shut out 28-0. Ricky Jackson and Pat Swilling beat him to a pulp on that particular day. Things have changed since then.
Certainly has. He's the winningest quarterback in 1 decade in NFL history. He's got 89 wins in the 90s. The Saints don't want to see 90 in 90. Aikman from the shotgun. Under pressure, throws it near sideline and incomplete. Intended for Brazel. Working against Harris. The ball was underthrown because Aikman was under duress and was dropped as he delivered it.
Mitchell was in there. Mitchell was the first there. A very unusual defensive alignment, and Mitchell found a gap and came clean in that situation. Aikman had to get rid of it prematurely. Even if the catch had been made, the official had dropped his hat. Brazel was out of bounds on the play and came back in, so it wouldn't have mattered anyway. Corey Harris with nice press coverage.
Mitchell hit Aikman high, up around the chin area, where he's taken 40 stitches in his career. 3rd and 7 from the 37-yard line of New Orleans. From the shotgun, Saints blitz Aikman. He's got time. He's throwing it down the far sideline, and the catch is made by Tucker, who comes back for the football inside the 10. They'll mark it at the 6-yard line. A 31-yard strike.
Man coverage against Fred Weary. Again, he's playing him up on the line of scrimmage where he can't get his head turned in time. And the catch made by Tucker as he makes the side adjustment to the football. As a quarterback, you'd like to underthrow that slightly in that situation, and that's what Aikman did.
First and goal for the Cowboys from the New Orleans 6-yard line. 1:20 on the clock, running in the 4th quarter. Dallas has 2 timeouts remaining. Ismail in motion. Aikman drops, Looks, pumps, throws over the middle, incomplete. In fact, it may be intercepted. Mark Fields has the football. It went out of the hands of LaFleur into the hands of Fields, and that's an interception. Keith Mitchell jarred the ball free, and it went right into the hands of Mark Fields in the end zone. With a minute and 4 seconds left, it looks like the Saints are going to win this thing and score a major upset.
This was Keith Mitchell's play all the way, Jim. He has great coverage, bats it into the air, and Mark Fields is right there, right into his arms. Still not an easy play. And a smart play by Fields. He thought about running it out, thought better of it, stayed there, creates the field position that the Saints desperately want in this situation. Cowboys have but 2 timeouts left. This football game belongs to the New Orleans Saints.
Yes, it does. They can only stop it twice, can the Cowboys, with timeouts. They were trying to conserve those. They'll have to use them here. Boy, this is a scene we haven't seen in this place in a long, long time. All the way back on November 14th when they beat the 49ers here 24-6. We've seen nothing of this sort of enthusiasm since. Jake Delhomme apparently is going to have a storybook beginning to what could be a long and happy NFL career in his home state. Handing it off inside to Aaron Craver. Aaron Craver with a couple, holding onto the football with both of his arms. The Cowboys will call a timeout. They have 1 left, 58 seconds remaining on the 4th quarter clock.
It's a 30.
Cowboys call that timeout with 58 seconds remaining in the 4th quarter. They can only stop it once more. Some fans here heading for the exits. Well, I'd stay and savor every last second of this. It hasn't happened too often here this year. You know, maybe somebody remarked up here, and I think it was Dale Jones, our statistician, perhaps those are Cowboy fans feeling that it's over. And Saints fans don't ever want to see it over tonight. They're going to savor this one as long as they possibly could. Yeah, you see some of the jerseys wearing 21 in blue and silver heading to the exits as the Saints, for the 2nd year in a row, provided they hang on here in the final minute of play, will have upset a Cowboy team that came in here just not quite ready to play a team that they couldn't get any enthusiasm for looking at it on tape. Delhomme with his backs in an eye, hands it off to Ricky Williams. Ricky Williams to the 26-yard line, a pickup of 4. Dallas calls its last timeout with 53 seconds remaining. Chad Henning on the stop.
And for all intents and purposes, the season ends for the Dallas Cowboys here today, and their playoff chances, I should say, are pretty much snuffed out. It should be noted that Jerry Jones, as many Cowboy fans are aware of, spends a lot of time on that sideline during the course of the game. He's been down there since the 2nd quarter based upon our observation. Been very emphatic throughout cheering, but he's not doing much clapping right now.
And he really seems to enjoy the sideline when the game's on national television. His team figured to win.
You discerned that, didn't you?
He's inconspicuous at the moment with his team trailing by 7 points, 31-24. These fans just don't want to sit down. They have been on their feet for the last couple of minutes, in particular when they were brought to their feet on the interception by Mark Fields in the end zone with 1 minute and 4 left as the Cowboys were threatening to tie this up. Well, let's see if the Saints can run out the final 53 seconds here. Wideouts left and right. Craver the fullback. Williams is the running back on 3rd down. Play action. Delhomme running to his right is going to just run with the football, give ground, give up time, stay on the field of play, and be sacked back at the 14-yard line. But the Saints very wisely running some more seconds off the clock.
Well, now the play clock's running, but the game clock had stopped for like 3 seconds. So there's a 6-second differential, and I'm not sure one stopped when the other one started and why that was the case. Ball had been spotted, and the official had already signaled for time to run. Saints are telling Ed Hockey League about that as we speak, and rightfully so.
That is a 6-second differential. The play clock showing 15 seconds.
There's like a 4-second drag, Jim. There should be 2 seconds left when they take the penalty, which is obviously what they plan to do here, but instead there'll be like 5 or 6.
Ed Hockey League waits for the Saints to call the timeout, which they do with 6 seconds remaining.
And Jim, the danger of doing this is obvious, but the play here would be for Delhomme to take a safety. Run around, run backwards, wait, step out of the end zone, let the clock expire. You do not want to risk punting the football in this particular situation. They'll come with 11 if necessary, though they do have a receiver back to receive the punt. They could come with 10. You have to execute the snap. Obviously, you can't allow a jailbreak. Delhomme's quick enough to be able to go back and just run around as he just did a moment ago and expire this clock.
Yeah, he should be able to figure out that he could use up the final 6 seconds with a maneuver such as that, such as the one he just employed, where he stayed alive off the play-action fake in the bootleg, ran some more seconds off the clock, but the Saints are showing up that they are going to punt the ball away as Tommy Barnhart comes on.
Well, he could also do the same thing. Of course, you have to execute a deep snap, though it should be noted the Saints have one of the best in the business in Kendall Gavin.
Let's see what the Cowboys try to do here. 6 seconds remaining. They trail the Saints by 7, 31-24. Rob Kelly is the up back. Barnhart stands at the goal line, and there's some movement up front, and flags have been thrown. Now, the Cowboys initiated it, but I'm not sure that they didn't get back on sides before the Saints moved themselves up front. Doesn't really make a whole lot of difference to the play.
Saints are pointing the way of Dallas.
Neutral zone infraction by the defense. The left side of the line went into the neutral zone, causing the offense to false start. 5-yard penalty. It's still 4th down.
It's 11 penalties, 86 yards on Dallas. A lot of things to consider. The one thing you absolutely do not want to do is kick the ball at Deion Sanders here. If you're Tommy Barnhart, kick it out of bounds if you're going to kick it, or run around and take the safety if necessary. Do not kick the football to Deion Sanders.
Well, Bobby April standing on the sidelines with Mike Ditka, who was a special teams coach of the Dallas Cowboys when he began his coaching career way back in 1973. Let's see what strategy they'll employ. Barnhart standing at the 5, awaiting the snap by Gammon. Snap is back. Barnhart's going to punt it away. Hangs it high, and it's going to be fielded by Sanders. He's hit and dropped. And that's your ball game. The Saints have won it. Some great coverage downfield. Sanders, to his credit, was going to try to run it back no matter how many people had him. But Lawrence Gossey downfield underneath that punt dropped Sanders as soon as he took it in. And the Saints have scored one of the biggest upsets of the season, considering the circumstances, beating a Dallas Cowboy team that had designs on the NFC East title. A 9-point underdog with Jake Delhomme playing in his first game in the regular season in the NFL. They have beaten the Dallas Cowboys by a score of 31-24. What a great Christmas present for all these beleaguered Saint fans and the boys in the black and gold. A great victory here today, turned in by the Saints. Happy holidays, everybody. This should help you enjoy it. The Saints defeat the Cowboys by a score of 31-24. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
Get to work and school on time with Bob Deldrono and Skywatch traffic reports on WWL 870 AM.
31-24, the Saints upset the Cowboys. Ken Trahan sending it right down to Kenny Wilkerson with Fred Weary.
Okay, down here on the field with Fred Weary. Fred, you guys been looking for something like this for a lot of weeks. What happened today?
You know, I think we just all of us came together today, and we just wanted to go ahead and just try to play hard as a team for 60 minutes today, and not have any negative thoughts in our mind. And I think pretty much everybody went out there and played with attitude today, and we got the job done.
There are a lot of reasons, a lot of things we've seen through the course of this season where bad plays would occur, and it would take this win completely out of the sails. That could have happened today, and it didn't. Do you know why?
Well, like I said before, we try to just get rid of all negative thoughts. Even if something bad happened in the game negatively, we just want to always think positive. And I think pretty much the whole team thought positive the whole time, and you see we made good plays. And, it's the thing, good things happen to people who think positive. And I think the whole team did that today, and we got to win for the season.
It would be an interesting thing to see if you could see the Superdome like this all the time.
Oh, yeah, it was great. It was nice to see the fans, everybody into it. It's nice to get a victory for the Saints.
Thank you, Fred. Appreciate it. Fred Weary down here on the field. I send it back upstairs to you.
In exciting fashion, what a Christmas present for fans of New Orleans who have been suffering throughout the course of this season. Our final score once again, the New Orleans Saints defeat the Dallas Cowboys 31-24. I'm Ken Trahan, inviting you to stay tuned for the post-game show, which is coming up next right here on the New Orleans Saints Radio Network. here before an enthusiastic crowd in the Superdome, which was alive throughout because this was a competitive and entertaining contest throughout. Today's task force staffing service star performer of the game is Jake Delhomme. Delhomme in this football game was 16 of 27 for 278 yards and a pair of touchdowns, one interception. He lost a fumble, but he also ran for a score in this game as the Saints would emerge victorious. If you need...
Yes, and I'm with quarterback Jake Delhomme. A little bit different in this as it was in the preseason. Yeah, it was. I tell you what, not scoring in the preseason and pretty much knowing your fate was sealed that night, it's a much better feeling after this game than in Tennessee. I know I joked with you during the week. Did you sleep this week? I slept great this week, I'll be honest with you. At least, 9-10 hours a night. Just very, very relaxed. I really was. I'm not lying about that. Talk a little bit about the emotion down there from yourself as well as everybody around you. Everybody, at halftime, everything was just, we got to finish it now. We got to finish it. We've been in this situation before, now we need to finish. And, we're able to come out and finish, and defense helped us along. Greg Ditka said that he thinks that the talks last night and this morning had a lot to do with everybody's mindset. Yeah, everybody was real relaxed, came out and played hard. And, offense, we made plays. I wasn't trying to force anything. And having 3-4 back there makes a big difference. It really helps out having him back there. Danny called a pretty good game today, I have to admit. It seemed like, and I know last week between Danny and Tommy Clemens, that's what was going on. The same thing happened today. Mike Ditka probably had very little play calling in there. No, Coach Ditka really, he had some plays that he called, don't get me wrong, but Danny really did a good job. And, this week we talked about it. I said, look, I'm going to do things that you comfortable with, and we're going to go with it. And he said, we're going to be fine. And, we were fine. Jake, you think it made a difference as well as Tuesday morning? He told his team he's going to be here next year? I would assume it does. He was emphatic about it. So I'm going to be here next year, and everybody, took it in stride and came out and worked hard and came out and got a win. Thank you, Jake. Congratulations. Thank you. All right, that's Jake Delhomme down here. I'm going to send it back upstairs to you guys.
All right, thanks very much, Kenny. Jason Tucker was big for the Cowboys today. 7 catches, 128 yards and a score. Also returned 6 kickoffs for 203 yards, a 34-yard average, but not enough. The Saints win it 31-24 over the Cowboys. Back with a final comment in a moment. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network. The Saints defeat the Cowboys by the score of 31-24 here in the Superdome this afternoon. Ken Trahan with you to close things out from this end. We thank you for listening to today's Saints game on the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
Welcome to the Point After, Buddy D, and today we're in the studio because it's Christmas Eve, and I'm happy for the cheer that the New Orleans Saints spread for their fans today in an exciting 31-24 victory over the Dallas Cowboys in the Superdome. But I'm also flabbergasted. I just witnessed what might have been the biggest misevaluation of talent in the history of this franchise, or a situation where the head coach put personal feelings ahead of what's best for the team. Jake Delhomme's performance today verified what's been whispered, sometimes shouted from within the walls of the Saints camp ever since the team came out of training camp, that Jake Delhomme had more upside than any quarterback on the Saints roster, and that Jake Delhomme was far superior in talent, the ingredient it takes to be an NFL quarterback, compared to Denny Werfel, that many players and some of the assistant coaches couldn't believe that at the final cutdown, it was Werfel who stayed and Delhomme who was cut. Mike Ditka, in his post-game interview, talked about making a mistake in judgment at that position. It's a mea culpa, but in an organization that there would be accountability, it would not be accepted. Jake Delhomme today showed the demeanor, poise, gamemanship, touch on the football, scramble ability, all the factors, the ingredients it takes to play winning quarterback in the NFL. The only thing missing was experience. Sure, Jake Delhomme still needs the experience, and sure, Jake Delhomme is going to make mistakes, but gosh, the difference was so obvious today, and we've seen Denny Werfel for 3 years now. How could a head coach make a cut like that on the final cut down and put this guy on the street? Now, I'll admit, none of the other teams picked him up. Maybe this was the lucky break for the New Orleans Saints. Joe Clark, an old coach that's been around the block for many years, had been the quarterback coach and offensive coordinator at Amsterdam in Germany during the 1998 NFL European season. He had both Kurt Warner and Jake Delhomme under his wing. And he said to anyone who would listen,
they battled hip and tuck that season for the starting job. And Warner won it in a photo finish just because he had a little more experience than Delhomme did. Joe Clark has often said, in his opinion, Jake Delhomme was the best quarterback the Saints had. He had Jake Delhomme in Europe, NFL Europe, in the beginning of 1999 season. Imagine a 68-year-old coach getting a few $100 or a few $1,000, plying his trade in Europe, having a better understanding about what it takes to play quarterback than Mike Ditka and a $2 million man. I'm flabbergasted. The WWL, we're going to continue with the point after.